Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, over me hills to Country, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, hey, in diaspora, current affairs, hey, reliable information, history, talking about culture, hey, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jai, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Tonight, we're going to be looking at the academic credentials of Foreign Minister Designate Sara Beysolow Nyanti. Those credentials are under scrutiny. So, a group, the Campaigners Against Academic Crimes Court, Campaigner for Academic Crime Court, CACC, headed by the lead campaigner Martin Colley, they have been questioning the academic credentials of Madam Beysolow Nyanti. So tonight is supposed to be a debate between someone who thinks Madam Nyanti lied about her credentials and somebody who said, not so fast, Mr. Wanto. So I have Mr. Saki Golafale, who's supposed to be debating Mr. Wanto on this issue. But just 2 seconds for the debate to start, Mr. Wanto, when I called him, said he's sorry he's not able to be part of the debate because he received a mandate from his team. He said he got a mandate from the team. He said after consideration and conversation with the team, we decided not to attend today, given the hearing is tomorrow. He also said he will definitely provide himself after the meeting, but as of now, this is a mandate from the team and he needs to respect it. But since one market cannot stop the show, we have to continue with what we promised our people. I'm here with Dr. Saki Golafale, a member of CACC. Dr. Golafale, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jai, and it's my pleasure again to be on your show. And I'm looking forward to making this more educative, informative, and let our people and the public be the judge out there.
Thank you. So as advertised, we had Dr. Saki Golafale versus Mr. Wanto on the academic credentials of Sara Beysolow Nyanti. She's the Foreign Minister Designate. There's supposed to be a debate, but at 7:01, Mr. Wanto informed me that he has a mandate from the team that he should stay out because the issue is sensitive and the hearing is tomorrow. Well, that was the conclusion. That was the reason we were having a debate, but Mr. Nyanti has called out. So for the next 55 minutes, we're going to be talking about this, and I'm going to be, Mr. Wanto has written a lot on this issue, so we're going to use some of his comments. But let me start with you, Dr. Saki Golafale. Tell me about the CACC.
Thank you, Ja. First of all, I want to say that the views expressed here are, although it's going to represent the views of the CACC, but it doesn't represent any other institution I'm affiliated with. Just want to make that disclaimer. And so it's important for people to understand how the CACC came about and how this effort of credential auditing has become so like a growing concern among Liberians. And our goal has been to make this everyone's business. All right. Initially, 3 years ago, when Martin Colley began this effort, I was impressed. Though over the years, I have been, you know, we all been seeing these issues about people faking their credentials and other things, but we haven't spoken. All right. We've been silent on it. And this gentleman took on the responsibility. He decided to lead a campaign, which people like us, like me, Vandela Patrick, Ambula Mame, we all saw it as an effort to help our country to weed out fraudulent people, people who come with from different countries with degrees and credentials that our system is unable to validate or confirm whether they did graduate from universities they claim on their credentials. So this tax, we know very well that it would have been a hectic one considering the pushback we have had from Liberians. And the interesting thing is that more and more people are joining the conversation. Our goal is to make sure that Liberia and Liberians respect merit system. People who merit, who go through the rigor of academic should be considered over people who just go and buy degrees from degree mills. And because our system is not sophisticated enough to detect these frauds, I think we are in the best position to help our country to weed out, to discover, and inform our people about fraudulent acts. And nobody, absolutely nobody, is going untouched. You can be whoever, a relative, a friend, a professional colleague. We are going to let the Liberian people know, as long as you are in the public sphere and you come in as to become any of our public leaders or anywhere else that we see that your degrees or credentials are questionable, we are going to come out and investigate you. It is
Right.
no witch hunt. It is something, just an effort to help our country to make sure that competent people, not only competent people, but qualified people, hold public and private positions. Thank you.
And what is the is this? Do you get paid doing this? And what is your legal backing? What is your backing for it?
Well, we are, as far as I'm concerned, we are legal, per the laws of the Republic of Liberia. In respect to pay, we do this voluntarily. Okay, we all chip in a little we can, because research investigation is a very tedious task, right? Especially when you're investigating people's credentials from countries that are hard to access. So we have to use other research methods to get information. Some of that we have to pay money to get information. So our investigation and research efforts are sponsored from our own pockets. All right. So it's a voluntary thing, and we want all Liberians to get involved with this. If you have any information out there of anyone who occupying public position that you think that person may have questions about their credentials, you can reach out to the campaigners for academic or crimes court. I mean, as we call it, the CSCC, so that we can investigate. All right. We do not just run conclusion based on hearsay. We do high level, high level research, make sure we have all of the facts, before we come to our decision. And we're looking forward to getting Liberians to get involved, those in academia. And I was impressed that the Minister of Education acknowledged that, and that is going to be part of the Minister of Education designate at the Senate. I think she did mention that, and that's something that we're going to follow up on to make sure that
Mm.
credential audit become a national effort. We take it from the individual or uh, advocacy group to a national level.
Thank you. So what is the process of obtaining credential? I mean, I went to a couple of schools here. So what is the process of obtaining credentials for people, and you are not that person, looking at some legal issues surrounding other people's privacy? How do you go about doing this?
Yeah, yeah. What was your question? I'm sorry.
Yeah. What is the process you do? Let's say I went to a couple of schools here. Uh, how do you get my information without my consent? What's the process, and what are some of the legal ramifications for that? Or what do you face some legal barriers? And what can you or can you not get?
Well, it's important to know that we're in an information age, and a simple email to a school can be enough. It's enough to uh, get information on someone's date of attendance or their degree and whatever. In some cases, it's a difficult thing because of the Privacy Act. So in some cases, we leave and still hanging. We're still investigating a lot of other. We have backlogs, so we're still investigating, finding way to see we can have access to information. We respect that there are privacy laws and things, so we do not go beyond what our core duties are. So let's take for instance, all right, and we got a tip on one of someone who working in Liberia who claimed to have a PhD, right? And we just reached out to the school, I mean, and wrote, Mr. XYZ claimed to have graduated with PhD in this. Can you confirm? And the confirmation came that it was not so. The person got a master's, not a PhD. And that's how our investigation, continued in different dimensions, right, based on information we receive. So you can even do it. You can write a school and ask. You can write my school and ask about my background, whether I really obtained my degree from the school, and they will be open to tell you, right, once you are not breaching any privacy, laws and invading people's privacy. I mean, there are information that are easily accessible. For example, a lot of universities have their commencement programs online. One of the people we discovered had a fake PhD in Liberia. His name was listed on the institution's website on their commencement program that he got a master's degree. That was a case closed right there. We did not need to go further and do any investigation. So there are so many ways depending on how
Okay.
the information is available, in what form we can have access to them, without any going against any privacy law. But the issue of legality, I wouldn't want to go through it because I'm not a legal person, when it comes to that.
Okay. There is people who criticize you talk about the Family Educational Rights and Privacy, FERPA.
Yeah.
What do you know about that, and what does FERPA stops you from getting?
Yeah, there are privacy education. The FERPA is, I mean, me being, experienced in higher education in the US, yeah, I know what that means, right? And I've had situations where families have reached out to me to discuss their kids, performance, and per the act, you cannot disclose information about your students to parents or relatives or whatever. So we are in line with that. We, again, as I told you, we do not go beyond what the FERPA says. I mean, there are a lot of arguments about the legality, right? But what we want to focus on is the actual picture of a person who comes with a fraudulent degree.
Mm.
And if their degree is fraudulent, and we found that out, you know, if you want to take the legal route to talk about whether it was legal for us to know, right? We'll ask you, was it legal for you to provide fake credentials? Because there are laws
Mhm.
in Liberia that in other countries that when you provide fake credentials, you're going to pay for it. Unfortunately, in Liberia, a lot of issues that we've raised, people that have lost their job because we expose them, they are not paying the penalty. But again, I'm not the legal person to go into
Right,
all of the legal issues. I don't want to overstep my responsibilities,
right.
but overall, we do respect these, acts and laws that have to do with people's rights and privacy.
All right. And that was one of the criticism from Mr. Wanto Tier Wanto, which you have been here tonight, that you guys have violating FEPA. So when I read about FEPA, and one of the things which I thought you were in compliance, say, under FEPA, school may disclose without consent directory information, such as the
Ye-
student's name, address, phone number, date and place of birth, honors and awards, and I think this is what you like, the dates of attendance.
Exactly. That's what
So,
we go for.
so FEPA,
Information that someone puts on your resume or CV, like I attended this school. Let's take for instance, Madam Sara Beysolow Nyanti. She has on her CV that she submitted to the Senate that she attended Andrew Jackson University, and in parentheses, New Charter University. Now, we don't know whether she did which university she attended because those two universities had different timelines of existence in terms of the names. So we're still unclear. Right now, your university is Botica University, right? It has changed at least three names, in the course of 2 decades. So that is even a red flag. So she put on her CV
and
that,
we'll come to Madam
yeah,
Yang.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me just, she put on her CV 2000, 2020, 2007, right? And we don't know when she started. So if we want to know that date, we ask the school, right? We write the school and ask, can you confirm this student attended, what date of attendance is, what's the actual date of attendance? That's how we do the investigation, and then the school does provide the information. Again, there was an instance where a school or university, a top university in the US here, provided that information about one of their students, and we confirmed there were conflicting information. So, there are information that are accessible, easily accessible through the school. So and that it doesn't, I don't think it violates any person's right of privacy. Your date of birth, your legal name, your date of attendance. Those are things that we look forward for. And I think it was the issue of the date of attendance that we even got to know that Madam Sara Beysolow Nyanti attended Western Governor University for five, at least, I mean, up to five around 6 months. She got her bachelor's in 6 months, which even raised more question about the credibility of her credential.
So let's come to tonight's topic on the academic credential of Sara Beysolow Nyanti. What are the issues, or what issue do you have with Madam Yanti's credential?
Yeah, so just to sit there, we all of us that work together on this, we don't have anything personal. It's we're doing it for Liberia and nothing else at Liberia. We've done it with we've investigated a lot of individuals, and nobody has come up to dispute people that we have called out their degrees as fraud. The LBDI former president was one. The dean of the science college at University of Liberia was, and a lot of other people, and people have hailed us, right? Coming to Sara Beysolow Nyanti, we're treating her case like all other nominees, right? We've gone investigated tens of names that, from the nomination from the president. We've investigated, we've cleared some, and are I'm not sure why a lot of people are taking Madanyanti's issue out of context, and considering that we are doing this to everyone, right? we are not taking this thing personal. So what we have, the issue we have with her credentials, not with her in person, but with her credentials, which we are looking forward to the Senate confirmation hearing where she will explain the questionable areas about her credentials. If I were sitting on the Senate bench, I would start investigating from her career, where she started her career, but that's another story to talk about, right? So when we check on when we check on Madam Yanti, you know, we got her UN profile, we read it, and she listed the UN profile listed New Charter University that she got her master's from. Now, Madam Yanti's LinkedIn profile was up by then. Right. Unfortunately, it has been deactivated or deleted. We don't know why. Only she can explain. She probably not obligated to anyone to explain about her profile, her LinkedIn profile. But here's what I raised the concerns about among a lot of us. When
Okay.
we saw the information on the UN website, we say, okay, she got a master's and from New Charter University, and okay, she got another master's from Western Governor, and she's doing a PhD. Okay, good. Now, all concern goes to LinkedIn. LinkedIn had conflicting information, which I'm not going to talk about because the LinkedIn page is not up. I cannot prove it, right? So, and we raised the flag a day or two after her LinkedIn profile went missing, and
I mean, what
we,
was the flag? I'm not clear on that flag.
we raised concern that the degree from New Charter University have questions about them. They're questionable
What
credentials.
question? Which question?
Question about the legitimacy of her degree,
Why?
because New Charter University was Andrew Jackson, and it changed. It was Andrew Jackson, and Andrew Jackson, though they had national accreditation, but they were not accredited by the National Commission on Higher Education of Alabama, because she claimed to have gotten that degree from Andrew Jackson, was not recognized in
Right.
Alabama.
Right.
So
So that's a different issue now.
yeah,
Even though
yeah,
you got a degree, but the school is not accredited.
the school is not accredited in the state that
Right.
the degree she claimed she got that degree.
Okay.
So, and then there are a lot of stories about the school that we've read about. The school sell degrees. It's a degree mill, right? And we have a lot of stories. One of them even from New York. And so we say, okay, this school, re- though we think that this school has issues with their credibility, but we're not going to focus on that too much. We're going to look at what the school's requirements are to get a master's degree without a bachelor's. As a matter of fact, up to time, speaking, Madam Yanti's CV stated no bachelor's degree prior to 2007. And she got a master's degree. So we put a question that I think she needs to answer how she got a master's degree. These are the questions we want for Madam Yanti to answer, hopefully before the Senate. How did she get a master's degree before a bachelor's
Right.
degree? We're not saying that her master's degree is not valid. Let her provide evidence for obtaining a master's without bachelor's degree. Because the university's website states that you have to have a bachelor. It's a requirement,
Mm.
right? So how did she not meet the requirement? Let her explain. When you ask for this kind of information, does it in any way make her look like a victim? No, it's just
Right.
a quest for information. We want clarity. She
But
is going to
asking
take a public position. She needs to explain. She is accountable to the Liberian people. She needs to explain how she obtained a master's degree without a bachelor's degree. That's one,
okay.
right? The second thing is she went on to get to Western Governor University in 2020, right? In 2020, from 2020, 2007, she got a master's. Then she went over to 2020 and enrolled in a master's and bachelor's degree program at the same time, right? And so the question is that Western Governor requirement for master's degree is a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
So if she had a bachelor's, she already had a master's degree. One would want to argue that why go for a bachelor's degree if you already have a master's, right? That's another argument, right?
Right.
It's her business to decide what she wants to do with her academic. But our question is that how is it possible to do bachelor's degree in 5 months? Let Madam Nyanti provide evidence that it's possible. And what did the school require of her? Maybe there was a admission letter that showed conditional admission or admission based on setting, career or position she has held or qualify her for some credit transfer. Let that be available, or let her explain with evidence to the librarian people that we are employing or giving, her a position that comes with integrity, someone who earned her degree and credentials without any question. We just want those questions to be answered, and that will settle the whole matter.
Right. But these questions are not the same as calling Madame Yanti a fraud.
Well,
Because
it,
I've seen some indictment.
I again, I restate myself that in every investigation, the investigation is going to end at the Senate. The
Yeah.
Senate is going to what? Decide on whether Madam Nyanti is being truthful on her credentials or not. If she cannot, now the reason for raising the flag saying we sense fraud is that we are seeing the trend. Now we're looking at her entire CV. If you look at the trend, which if we were to go into that, I don't think we'll be given all of the information we have until she meets the Senate,
Mm.
and she's going to ask her. There are some gaps within her CV she needs to answer, right? And we don't know why those gaps are, and everything in as a whole, we need answers on them. So if answers are not given, there's anyone would think that something fraudulent happened along the way, right? That is our hypothesis that something fraudulent may have happened along the way with our academic, or credentials. Until she proves us wrong, then we can trash our hypothesis. But we are still in the investigation stage. She's
Mm.
going to the Senate. She's going to present what she has. Now we're going to listen to her side of the story to answer our questions. If she cannot answer our question, then our hypothesis will be proven that indeed these are fraudulent documents, or she got it by some degree mail buying or whatever. But for now, she has still not answered those questions. She
Right.
said she will answer them before the Senate, which we're waiting for.
Right. So, but here is my question, because uh, raising question, and I know you're a scientist, so you talk about hypothesis, but when it comes to what you are saying, you have reached a conclusion based on what the lead campaigner for the CACC, Mr. Colley, has written repeatedly, that this is fraud, black and white, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things is that he said, do you know why Beysolow could remember the starting years relating to her experience in her CV, but couldn't remember the starting year relating to education because she thought no one who have discovered this institutionalized fraud. Martin Colley and the ACC is calling this out already as a fraud period. Do
Yeah,
you have enough information to be able to convict? Let me
we
use that
we
link
we,
over.
we have information that uh some information we were holding and we're not ready to release them at the time, but we were, you know, we had to release it prior to the date of the hearing, right? Because on her, again, the LinkedIn profile was a very good source of to put this whole matter to rest, because it was highly contradicting, right, in terms of timeline and all
So
that.
you could
If you,
raise questions and
yeah,
not
yeah,
pass.
yeah, no, no. When if you come to question me about my credentials, right, and you say, "Oh, your credential look questionable," and then when I look, people visiting my LinkedIn profile continue, I go and delete my LinkedIn profile, because that's where I have personal access to put all of my academic. It's a
Mhm.
professional profile, right?
Yeah.
Anyone would think that this sense fraud. And
That's an
we,
assumption.
yeah, I mean, you could say that's assumption, but we are basing our call for fraud based on facts we have gathered. The facts are there. Western Governor University, New Charter University, they are all into this. They are part of the degree fraud. If you look on the list of degree mill university and colleges, you will see them there. So anyone who goes and gets a bachelor's degree in 5 months, there's a reason to say it's fraudulent.
It could be.
I mean, you tell me that it's not by providing. If I were in Madam Yanti's case, I would have laid this issue to rest a long time. It
Right.
borders around her reputation. Someone who has worked at the highest, one of the highest levels at the United Nations, the very day that thing come up, I'm going to put it to rest. But the more she is giving silence, the more the concerns are being raised. Right? Now, there are questions about when did she attend New Charter University. On the on her UN profile, it says New Charter University. In New Charter University and Andrew Jackson, there are two different names, but they're the same institution that changed their timeline for which they existed. Right? So she has to be clear about which one she attended. If she did attend the one in Alabama, Andrew Jackson, it did not have Alabama state recognition by the time, which means that institution was operating under fraud, under illegal means. And any institution that operates illegally, and you go and get a degree from there, what should I conclude? Should I make assumption? No, it's fraud. If you use that degree for obtaining jobs, it's fraudulent. Take for example, in Liberia some years back they had St. Luke Medical School. I don't know whether you heard about that before. There
No.
was a medical school, I think it was St. Luke or some kind of Saint, in that oral area, and the Liberian government flagged it. It was not legally operating. Anyone who obtained degree from that school, it was fraudulent. So if an institution is not recognized by a state, and you go and get a degree from that institution, and especially if that institution requirements to get a master's is a bachelor, and you go and just get a master's, what do you say? That's a that's a clear indication of fraud. That's a fraudulent practice. I wouldn't go to get a bachelor's degree or master or any kind of professional degree from a school or institution that is not legally operating in an environment.
Mhm.
If I do that, then that's fraudulent.
It could also.
That's the basis of us calling this whole
Right.
issue a fraud.
Right. And I agree with you. This whole thing could be put to rest by just showing your document, but she's under no obligation to do that.
Exactly, she is. She is
Right.
under no obligation.
Right. And so it is. We also say it is possible to acquire a master degree without getting a bachelor degree, maybe from some portfolio, some work experience. So these things happen, right?
Yes, we are not disputing that.
Right.
These things do happen.
Right. And you can also, maybe within one semester, especially if you have prior record from other universities, within just one semester to get your bachelor degree. So these things are also possible.
We're not. We just want the answers for them.
Right.
But again,
So in the absence of those answers and in the absence of any proof and verification, can you say fraud and not be, and this being defamation of character or character
when when
assassination,
when
slander, and
you
stuff like that?
when you go and get a degree from a school that is not recognized by the state,
You could be swindled, right? Because I can
it's
ignorantly go there and get it. So my degree could be worthless, but I may not be a participant of that
it's no
fraud.
excuse. It's no
No,
excuse. You are a
but
participant. You are considered a participant. Even you can go ahead and sue the institution, but
right.
you have the responsibility to ensure that you are going to a school that is recognized. That and nobody can just come to me and say there's a program that is a 5 month to get PhD and I run to it. The first thing I want to know, what is this school background, right? An individual, a high profile person like Madam Nyanti worked in the UN. She should know that the school that she enrolled in to do a master's, though the school required a bachelor's degree, she didn't present bachelor's degree. She got master's. That school was not recognized to operate in the state of Alabama. Why did she go there? Yes, she can consider herself a victim, but we will consider that she knowingly went there and
You
obtained.
don't know. We don't know that, right?
But that's a
So let me give you an example of myself.
how can you not know that the school you are going to, considering that you have worked at that level, how can you not know that the school you are going to is not recognized in the state you're going to obtain the degree? How can you not know? That is your responsibility.
Right.
It is not the responsibility. I'm not responsible. I'm on the side. I'm looking at it. I'm investigating. And when I see it, how did she not know? It's her responsibility.
Yeah, no, I get it. When I came to the United States, anyone in the Philadelphia, Bucks County area in Pennsylvania would know that about Pencotech. They have these beautiful campus, the arts and everything. And I went there. They say, "Oh yes, you can come and you do a program to have your computer degree. I mean, not degree, a certificate program."
Yeah.
And it was so fancy. So yes, you can take the entrance. And I went to take the entrance the same day, like fraction, everything. I scored 100. Right. So I didn't know. I could have gone to that school. Right. So
See?
it's possible that you be deceived like that. You don't know. They say what you don't know is older than you. So she could
Well,
be at that level, but she could be deceived. So, but my point is, there are still questions that you can raise. There are still things that need answer. But
yeah,
to
but
be able to arrive at a definite
let,
conclusion, that's the
let me
place I have my
let me
issue.
take you back, right? We don't have any proof that you didn't know, do we?
Yeah,
We don't have proof that you didn't know.
exactly.
How do we prove that? So the responsibility is on you that you knowingly went there and got a
Right,
degree.
right. So it's on me. So now my degree is worthless. But to go to the point of charging me for fraud because I went to a school that I didn't know that they were
Who
not recognized.
we can't prove that you didn't know. That's where the issue is. We
And
don't have to.
you can prove that I know
Well,
that I
then
knew it.
the responsibility is on you who went there because
Right.
your going there is consent. You consented to everything about the school. I mean, we're in an internet age. By 2007, Madam Beysolow was well informed about her surround. She was not anyone. she was not she was not. Nobody had to re-educate her. She knew the fact that there's no way that you can put that you can make that school to show that it was recognized by the state. You can't do that. You have no control over that. You can go back and fix that. You did it knowingly. That's our thinking, that you did it
Yeah.
knowingly. Because there's no proof that you didn't do it knowingly. You did it unknowingly or you were a victim. If you were, well, show the facts. Did you receive correspondence from the school about anything? It's up to you. When she goes to the Senate, if she says she didn't know the school was not recognized. Well, when did you get to know? You still up to 2024, you still have the school on your CV. If I were you, I wouldn't even put it there. But she still claimed the legitimacy of that degree. That's why that school was not recognized in Alabama. So that's another part of the argument that she still claimed legitimacy to that degree and she thinks it's legit from that school. So she's aware. If she's claiming innocence, she would have taken that thing off her degree and say, okay, I don't need it. I'm going down for my bachelor's degree to Western Governor University, get it in 5 months, and go and get a master's afterwards. I think my thinking is that that's what she thought when she went to Western Governor to start her whole thing over to get a bachelor's. Well, I could be wrong on that, but that's my thinking because she knew she didn't get a bachelor's. And there were issues about her attending Cottington and all that. Again, her LinkedIn profile showed that, but she deactivated it, which we cannot prove, right, from her LinkedIn profile, which there were conflicting information about, the schools she attended. You are mute. You are muted.
My last question on that is it, schools or the federal government, for instance, go after schools for defrauding students, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they know these things happen and students are the victims. It happened even in our community where someone sold nursing degrees and the students are victims. So yes, they can have responsibility. And I will restate, my issue here is all these could be questions raised and ask Madam Yanti to answer. But if you come to the point of drawing a conclusion, you may run the risk of being sued. You don't think so?
Well, we again the legal part of this whole thing, I'm not going to go into it, right?
Okay.
I have my personal view about that, which I'm not going to talk about. But uh the issue should be, did Madam Nyanti, or was she involved? I mean, the question is, are her academic credentials legitimate
Yeah, I'm asking
based
that same
on,
question,
yeah, based on
and
the
I don't have the
information we have?
I don't I don't have the answer.
Yeah, you claim not to have the answer,
No, I don't.
but the answers to those questions will be coming from Madam Nyanti tomorrow
Yes.
at the Senate.
Eh,
And we also have our own answers in which we have provided that these are our what? Answers to those questions based on our findings. Can she debunk our findings? It's up to her,
yeah.
which
And
I find very
what,
difficult.
what do you expect to happen in the Senate tomorrow? Because the Senate also may not ask any of these questions.
Well, they may not ask the questions, but you
Mhm.
know what? It's going to be an indictment on the Senate and the office of the president. If we do not have these questions answered by the nominee,
Hmm.
it raises concern and it's going to be an indictment on the character of each senator and that of the office of the president.
How so?
Because the nominees' academic credentials have questionable issues. We have raised legitimate questions
And
and we are
and
part of the
this,
Liberian public.
this came out before the vetting, right? So,
Yes.
before the nomination. So what you make of the vetting of don't you think these things were considered and Madam Beysolow was able to answer these questions that you have that convinced the president and this vetting committee?
Well, we don't know how the standards that were set by the vetting committee, we
Hmm.
don't know. And
You raised this issue, and she might have certified them. She might have.
well, we raised the issue to give the vetting committee an opportunity to go beyond just the political, part of this whole thing, because most of these appointments are political, and they are satisfying political some politi- they may be satisfying some political agreement uh and prior to the runoff. So I think that was the criteria set. It wasn't the vetting committee probably didn't go through. If they did, they I mean, here's the thing. There's a culture of in Liberia, people see big people to be people who can easily make mistakes, right? Oh, that big man there, right? Like the LBDI guy who we got, we hooked for fraud. A lot of people were not convinced that he was involved in that because of the level he had gone. So a lot of these high profile people, don't just take them
Yeah.
as they are. Go beyond what you see on their profile and who they are. So I think the vetting committee, well, I don't know what standards they had to select,
Okay.
but I think they overlooked that because of a high profile in the UN. And the UN should not be used, or any institution someone work with should not be used to clear somebody that, oh yeah, they meet all the criteria. You know, no matter how people work in these institutions, the UN right now, they still go after people. They
Right.
still go after people who
And
who
that's
who
one question.
presented
That's
fake
one
fake
question.
credentials,
That one
right?
question our viewers asking on the.
Yeah.
But let me announce that we have 15 minutes to close this broadcast. If you want to join the conversation, call 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403 But you know, don't you see the risk you are running, that you are both the verification person and you are also the law enforcement officer in this case, if I will put it that way. In other words, you get the information. All we want you to do is to present us the information, present that to us. But you are going on, it's like you are on the offensive. And sometimes people look at you like, oh, I mean, is this something personal? Because just give us the information, your work is done. But you're trying to make sure that what you have is adhered to or is followed to the letter.
Well, people agree with us when we stated that the LBDI, former LBDI President Joe Delaney, had uh fake his degree, his credentials. They did agree with our verdict.
Mhm.
They agreed with us when we raised concern about the dean of the science college at the University of Liberia faked his credentials. We came up with a verdict. They also agreed with us when we came up with credible information about the former speaker having a fake a PhD. The same thing, with our Ambassador Ade Yenevo. He has a fake PhD. And the list goes on and on.
I
There
mean,
is a history of our advocacy. Our campaign has produced information and conclusions based on our research backed by facts. So,
thank you.
and we
Let's
cannot.
look at this other one. People say, hey, this woman worked for the UN. Are you
Okay.
saying, I mean, you can do more verification than the UN? Sam Wallace say, uh, the international entity validated their employment verification process because the nominee cleared that. I don't 100% agree with Sam because we don't know what that verification process is. But what do you say to people that say, well, if UN can clear this woman, where's CACC coming from?
Well, let's take for example, if you get an employment in the federal system, you agree to all the terms and conditions. If you lie on anything and that is found out, you could be sued or some kind of legal actions could be taken, right? And institutions that hire people do not, uh, I think it depends on their verification system setup, but I don't think if there are issues with your credential, they find out right away, especially when you got those credentials from outside of their system, like Liberia. What if somebody presented a degree, a diploma that they went to Cottington and graduated, right? How do you find that out? That's a difficult terrain to go, because it's hard to, our system is not easily accessible, so it's hard to determine that someone graduated. But way down the line, if you come to find out that that person, fake their degree, you can take action as an institution. There are stories on the UN taking action against employees within the UN system, right?
Absolutely.
There was a guy who was a computer. He went to a computer and got some masters or something, and they found out that he faked his degree. So you can be employed in the system by defrauding the system, but when they continue to what? They can do background investigation again. They can find out in the long run, right?
Thank you.
So,
Let me
yeah,
bring in a
yeah,
few colors here. I don't want to keep you too long
yeah.
because I think I heard from the CACC that they're going to take this further so that
Yes,
you're going to get to UN and do all that.
yeah.
All right, let me bring in our colors here. The first one is Mr. Anthony Gay. Mr. Gay, you're live. 1 minute, please.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Mr. Gulafari. Dr. Gulafari, for your DR there for you.
No problem.
Listen, man, I'm very concerned about.
Give a little volume, Anthony.
Yeah, I'm very concerned about the fact that you said the Andrew Jackson University. You don't know which one she attended. If it's the one in Alabama, the one in Alabama did not accredited school. So, are you not too sure of which one of these schools that she attended? The Andrew Jackson one?
Yeah, because she had Andrew Jackson and New Charter, and those two universities operated in different timeline. So she has to be clear. On her UN profile, it has New Charter University. That was a different year of existence. Andrew Jackson operated from 1994, I think, to 2009, 2010. So she has to be clear which one. That's what we are saying.
Okay, so you were not too sure which one she attended. So because the one in Alabama is not accredited, so you assume that that degree is not accredited. Is that correct?
So she had Andrew Jackson University and from Birmingham, Alabama. So she put Birmingham, Alabama on her CV. So that concludes that she went to Andrew Jackson University. But she put in parentheses New Charter University because New Charter University is on her UN profile. So because of the two different information on her UN profile and on her CV, we just want the clarity on that part on whether the UN one should be considered or Andrew Jackson. If it is Andrew Jackson, we know Andrew Jackson was not recognized by the state of
I have 1
Alabama,
minute.
which she
I
claimed.
heard
Yeah.
Yeah, but Anthony,
Another question real quick.
yeah, go ahead, make your point.
Yeah, my next question is, Senator Darrell Dillon is the chairman of Foreign Affairs Committee. He had no foreign affairs experience. He had no diplomacy experience. How can you not trust Senator Dillon to be the one examining this lady on the committee?
You mean on the credential?
The credential of the lady, and Darrell Dillon also credential is on a question. How can you trust the Senate? Darrell Dillon is the chairman on that committee. I'm going to better. Do you trust Darrell Dillon?
Well, I wouldn't go into that question because we have no record of Senator Dillon's credential being on a question. For someone's credential should be on a question, they may misrepresent their credential. That's what we go after. So I'm not sure from what background you're speaking from, his credential on the question.
But the committee he chairing had no experience in that committee.
No, your claim of his credential on the question kind of dilute the whole question. So I don't want to address it.
Yeah, but Anthony, that is I don't want to say out of scope. Well, we want to deal with the scrutiny of Sara Beysolow. Darrell Dillon is.
Let me say this thing. It's like apple and oranges. Darrell Dillon has never. Darrell Dillon.
But quickly, we have more colors.
Yeah, do you agree with her master's degree? Is the master's degree legitimate?
Thank you.
He asking whether the master's degree is legitimate.
Yes.
Yes.
He's saying
which master's degree? She got 2 master's degree on her CV. Be specific, please.
Yeah, I'm asking if it's legitimate.
Both of them, or which one of them?
Is both of them legitimate, or one of them have questions? Because you guys are focusing on the master's degree, you're not focusing on the.
We have questions about her Andrew Jackson University degree that she got without getting a bachelor's degree. We have questions about the legitimacy of the school. So that degree she got from Andrew Jackson University, we have a question about that. What she got from Western
But the other
Governor
one has
University.
no question.
Hold on now.
Well, what she got from Western Governor University, the question we have about Western Governor is her bachelor's degree in 5 months. That's the question we raised. We are not concluding that the other one is legitimate. We are just saying what we have concern about, the bachelor's degree in 5 months.
Thank you. Let me go to Flomo Livingston. Thank you, Anthony. Flomo.
Yeah, great show. I mean, thank you to the doctor. Thank you for what you and Martin Collins are doing. But, you know, my question to him is, are we only focusing on credential? What about experience? I think both work in hands. Like, you can have the credential, but if you don't have the experience, should you get a job? My other question, which Mr. John asked you, how will you say she committed a fraud? I mean, in case she did not know the university she was going to was not accredited and they were just performing like that. It happened. For example, the Trump University, the George in California fund, the university gave them $25 million. They have to pay their student back. So when you say those students that went there and get that whatsoever degree they get there, are they fraud too? So with it, I mean, you cannot, for me, some may not know. Maybe she did not know if that university was fake or not. I mean, like for Trump University, people went there. They did not know what they were teaching that was fake. And did the judge find them? I mean, they found the university fraud. So, why would you say she had a fraudulent? She committed fraud? Maybe she did not know the university. I mean, was not accredited. So, why would you say that? I mean, how can you say that? So, can you answer that question for me, please?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Gulafala, let me take the last question. Please write that down. Okay. Number 1, credentials or academic degree and experience, and then what if she went there out of ignorance? Our last caller here, 445 area code, your name and where you calling from.
Well, thank you for having me on the platform. I want to say good evening to the dad.
Yes, sir.
And to many listeners. This is Bila Soiree, and I join you from Philip this evening. I listened to the DAO, and what I want to say before I get to my question, what I want to tell people listening is the issue about people thinking about people witch hunting people. There's some political undertone and all those kind of mindsets about people wanting to bring change. When it's happening in Mr. Weird time, what is it now that those guys do brings that are putting their time into checking background? And there's a lot of controversies behind this particular lady. In a time frame, you will see she graduated from this school. This school was not existing at this particular time. And I think these are basic investigations. They might be wrong in some of their investigations. But the leadership you apply to some of these things, that made people got more down. And this is why the controversy around her appointment will always be something very controversial because she's not willing to even come up with the truth. You go on this page, you're going to see different information. You come on this other page of a profile, you're going to see different information.
Give an example, Bila. What are you talking about? That you go here, you see different information. Give an example of that.
I mean, you go on the UN page where she worked, people say she did a lot. And which we saw, for honestly, we saw she did a lot in terms of progress in the U.S., impacted a lot, right? And when you go to a CV that they were reading up basically on the Spoon TV, it has a different information from what she presented to the Senate.
Yeah.
You know, from what she presented
to the Senate. You didn't see it, somebody read it? I don't think you should rely on that if you didn't see it, somebody read it.
But it was flush up, right? It was flush up, and sometimes when these shows go on, some of these documents are posted, and you seen A lot of controversies surrounding the incorrect information. So I think she should have applied leadership since ever since, and not see those guys are working from this RCC or how they call the group as being a hindrance or somebody who hinders to a progress. So if you are a leader and going in certain sectors, you should be questioned. That is why people don't understand. When you serve in certain capacity in the world, people will not question you based on certain things. But political appointment, they will always have the data. But I want to ask the data, what is the main point of focus now we are? It's because somebody talking about transit, somebody talking about the university she got her master from, and there are a lot of controversies. So I want to listen to you. What's the main point of argument that they are bringing on as related to the sticky issue around her credential? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Gulafala, that's all the colors we have for the night. Go ahead, sir.
Good, thank you. Let me first address the caller before Soiree, right, Dila, who
Yeah,
asked about academic degree or experience.
yeah,
You know, people, there are a lot of arguments on, I mean, conversation on Facebook and other social media about the issue of competence in academic qualification. And I think credit should be given to the CACC for bringing this to the public discussion. It had this institution not, brought these kind of discussions out, people would just be passing by, they didn't care. But it's interesting that we have made some tremendous achievement that Liberians are able to ask the hardest questions about who is competent, who is qualified. That's the kind of society we look to, where we think about a merit-based system that people should be given the chance to serve if they meet certain, criteria, be it qualification or competence. But there's distinction between qualification and competence. Our definition of qualification is academic, right? That's the fundamental, that's the base. You have to have what is technical knowledge. If you want to be a plumber, a certified plumber, you have to go and go to a school that is accredited to get your plumbing certificate. If you want to be a registered nurse or certified nurse or medical assistant, you have to go to the recognized. So the basis of the foundation of competency is qualification. When you get the qualification or the paper, then you move on with getting your experience, right? So we are questioning qualification. We are not questioning uh, competence. Look, Madam Beysolow reaching to that level in the UN. I mean, I marvel at her brilliance. It's something that not every Liberian has the opportunity to get to, right? So I applaud her. She has the experience in the international cycle. She has solid experience. I listen to her talk. I listen to her speak. She has control over. She understands the issues in Liberia. She has understanding of them in her area. But should we use her competence just as a criteria to serve in public service, to go into public service when there are questions about her academic qualification? Should we close our blind eyes to that? Absolutely no.
thank you.
We want to make sure that those questions are answered about her academic qualifications. Then qualification along with competence go along without any scratch. It has to be, we have to match these two things, qualification and competence. And regardless of who the people are, whether they work in UN or they work with the US government, if their academic qualification has question, we put them to check. We hold them, hey, hold on. We can't move forward with you because of this, despite your competence, that your quote unquote competence. The next question has to do with what the main point of focus. I think we have
Yeah.
emphasized that the main point of focus is there are questions about her master's degree from Andrew Jackson University that had no state, was not recognized by the state of Birmingham, Alabama. We strongly believe that it was acquired through fraudulent means. We also believe that the 5 months of bachelor's degree, which is unrealistic. She There's a question about that credential, the bachelor's degree. And there are a lot of other things that are coming which we don't want to subscribe to. We're considering what she submitted to the Senate as the document that we're going to use to ask questions from. Any other thing that comes from hearsay, we're not going to give them credence, because we are fully focused on the facts, and she has provided her CV. That's what we're using.
Thank you. And so you are very you are definitely she provided that CV to the Senate.
Yes, she did. She provided a CV to the Senate.
Because
And
what happened in one I think it was the confirmation of someone for internal affairs, when that noise was coming up, he did not provide that CV because whatever is on LinkedIn, wherever, it's not. So the person went and provided a CV just with high school, and they passed.
well,
So
the CV we have, we strongly believe it came from Madam Sara Beysolow Nyanti.
the one, I mean, the one at the Senate. Are you sure the one
Yes,
at the
yes,
Senate?
yes, yes. We believe that's what we have.
Okay. Jackie Sai is asking why only this one woman. Have you questioned other candidates?
Yes, we have questioned a lot of candidates, and there are other candidates still under investigation. Every candidate have a unique, case. So it's case by case. Some cases are very complicated, right? It takes time for us to get. Some of the candidates might even start work before we get information on them. So it takes time. Now, the issue of saying why only this woman, is not only this woman. A lot of people were not open, their eyes were not open to this credential check and verification until Martin Colley took this, and the CSCC as a whole that he leads, which I'm proud to be part of. They have unearthed a lot of discrepancies in public officials' credentials. So we did that to Samara Wolo Colley. He did not obtain a PhD. He faked his degree, went to a online degree mill. So she's not the only one. And as a matter of
Thank
fact,
you.
there have been more men we have called out than women, right? We called out the vice president, former vice president of Liberia, Joy Howard Taylor. Her master's degree was fraudulent, was fake. There's a lot of we've been doing with so many people. We have a database of a lot of people. So it's not only her. It's only because she's trending, and people trying to play this gender card. Hold your gender card to your chest. Ask the hardest questions about the lady's credential. Does it make sense?
Thank you. Sam Wallosey, I didn't get his question correctly, so let me read again. Employment verification processes are validated internationally. Which international organization validated the employment process that is being applied by this organization against the nominee?
Well,
So
yeah, employment verification processes are validated internationally. It depends on the employer. The Liberian government does not validate. There's no system of validation. It depends on the employer, and we are helping the Liberian people, the Liberian government. It- they can take our suggestion or not. There's no binding for them to take our suggestion, right? So when you talk about employment verification is done internationally, it depends on the employer what they want to do. You are muted.
thank you. Let's take a one last caller. This is a over, overflow caller. That's Leo Johnson from Canada. Go ahead, Leo. You have 38 seconds.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Joe. I'll be pretty quick. First of all, I think I do admire the work being done by the doctor there and Martin calling all of them. I just have a concern. It seems to be a lack of a level of professionalism from them with the way to go about doing this that I'm concerned about. in my opinion, if you go and research a candidate's profile and find out that there are potential questions to be raised, I'm just wondering, can they create a professional medium through which this gets done? Rather than coming up with a bombastic Facebook post and stuff, in fact, creating condemnation and judgment already. Are there ways that these records can be filed online on the website to say, here are our questions and here are our concerns, rather than rendering judgment? Can they raise the holes that they have found in the person credentials to allow them to respond properly, rather than already condemning them and running judgment and then expecting them to respond at the same time?
Thank you. Dr. Gulafali, I think I asked you that same question in another way.
Yeah, thanks. Leo raised a valid question, and I think this it's a learning process for us, and we take that highly into consideration. The level of professionalism is something as myself I'm concerned about. But all of these things, concerns that are raised, it still does not erase the fact about some of the issues we come up with. I think a lot of people are aware about questionable credentials, but yes, we do have a website we're developing. We have a lot of challenges, and we take your concerns into consideration, Leo. I think it is worth the professional nature of our approach needs to be taken into consideration. Thank you.
Monique, Monique Walker said, why you didn't do this when she was running for president?
What's the question?
Why you didn't scrutinize Sara Beysolow Nyanti when she was running for president?
Well, that's a good question. All right. The question is it because was in a headliner in election? No. I I think yeah, your question makes sense. In the future we can look at all of the candidates, their credentials they present. We can scrutinize them, right? This work is hectic, right? And we're voluntarily doing it. So I mean, we're focused more on people going about to go immediately into public service, like appointees, and things like that. So we have not expanded our scope of work. But that's a very important observation. We could have done that, but we didn't see that necessary. We didn't think it was relevant to the process, right? But that's an important, in the future, we might, look into that.
Thank you. Thank you. And let's say the future of the CACC. Jackie Saya is talking about an institution in Zambia called the Qualification Authority. So he has qualified people, and she described your group as ad hoc witch hunt. But I don't believe I don't agree that this is witch hunt because you've been doing it. But I think that more work is needed. What's the future of the CACC? Or you want something that where do you really intend to take this so that you get more professional, more credible, and so that you know this can because this service in our country is needed.
Yeah, and where this service is needed, I think it might be with the General Auditing Commission, the GSC. Auditing is not just about financial practice, it's about people's claim of the professional career and academic, achievements. They need to be audited. The United States have a government accountability office, that go after fraud. I think the government needs to set up these kind of things, and we are here with the support to give the government if they do need it. The Commission on Higher Education needs to look into this as well and work along with higher education institutions as well as the government, the General Auditing Commission. The General Auditing Commission, I think, needs to set up a department or branch that focuses more on and auditing people or credentials and career or how you call it CVs or whatever work they have done outside. We can do the background check and all that. So I think it's something that when you talk about witch hunt, and I mean people have their opinions. I can say and trash your opinion, but if you go back and look at all of the work we've done, I don't think it's a witch hunting. We have everyone we've working. If there's any reason you think it's witch hunt, reach out to us. We are open to conversation This thing is for Liberia. It's not just about few individuals running background check and thing. Yeah, there may be some odd way we are doing it, as Leo Johnson did, highlight, which we take very very highly, but it doesn't erase the fact that there's a need for us to set up a national verification system so that people can be, when you are hired, you should be hired based on your legally acquired academic credential. If it is academic, if it's not academic, or whatever technical or whatever job or a profession you get, it should be based on merit. It shouldn't be based because the person is a woman or because the person is a party affiliate. It has to be merit based. That's our focus. And we look into the future that this conversation is going to continue. We are glad that we have elevated this to the level where everyone is involved. And any suggestion you have out there to improve this effort, we are open to having a conversation about it so that we can be fair and transparent and make sure that we don't look at it from a party perspective, and individual hunting or witch hunt. So yes, again, we are independent. If you have issues, you can raise it. We'll be glad to address them through whatever medium, and so forth.
All right. And then obviously who's paying them? But
Nobody is paying us. We It's a voluntary work. Yeah, I mean that's why people believe a lot. All of these conspiracy theories about how there's some, somebody is a proxy war, is a this. Go back to the history of everything we've done from previous, people we've called out. There's no way that somebody's gonna pay me, right? I chip in. In fact, I chip in my own money to support our system to keep it functional. So who's gonna be paying me? I don't need pay for that, right? It's non-profit.
thank you. Dr. Gulafale, I know there are a lot of questions, but tomorrow is the confirmation of Madam Sara Beysolow Nyanti at the Senate. I want all of us to tune in and see what happens. We want to thank you, Dr. Gulafale. I will use the last 3 minutes or 2.5 minutes for your closing. I want to also thank our viewers for watching. Dr. Gulafale, your closing, sir. All right. And let me remind you that this is supposed to be a debate between Dr. Saki Gulafale, who is part of the CACC, and Mr. Wanto Tiawanto, who said he's part of a team. But the show should have been 7 o'clock. I reached out again because Mr. Wanto was not on. So I reached out to say what's going on. And he said, due to the sensitive nature of this, he was not coming on because he was advised by his team. So I don't know who the team is, but he said yes, after consideration and conversation with the team, we decided not to attend today's debate, given the hearing is tomorrow. I was very disappointed by that, and but that's his. At least you have told us even 15 minutes in advance, but he told us after the show already was about to start at 7 p.m. Dr. Gulafala, you're closing.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Ja, for giving me the opportunity to, you know, add my voice, to this ongoing conversation. It's going to be something that we're going to continue to discuss within the length and breadth of Liberia and even outside Liberia. And one of the greatest achievements is the involvement of Liberians into this conversation about, background checks, of people, whether it's academic or career. We have to do background checks. We have to make sure people are who they are. If you misrepresent yourself, the law has to take its action, we believe. And going forward, I think this, people have to understand this is not unique to Madam Sara Beysolow Nyanti. We have our respect for her level representing Liberia at the international level, and as she goes to the Senate tomorrow, we're asking the Liberian Senate to use their judgment, their wise, or use all necessary means to ask the nominee all of the questions that about her academic, qualification, her academic credentials, and we are waiting and looking forward to her response to the questions from the Senate. If the Senate failed to ask about all of these, questions, I think it is going to be an indictment on the character of the senators, and it's also going to be, if this nominee, we believe, go through, is going to be an indictment on the administration. Especially, it's going to lower the standards. We only look at people because they are, big, or they have high profile. We're not looking at all of the other issues. I think we have to look at it, everything in total about the individual, their character, their career, and all that. And I'm looking forward to the Senate making a wise judgment. And if there are reasons to be for her to be for her not to be confirmed, or nomination is not confirmed, I think it's going to be supported by facts based on our investigation about her academic, credentials. Her experience, she got the experience, yes, but does that, bury, the fraudulent way in which we believe she got her degrees? No. We have to face the facts as Liberians moving forward. We have to set the standards and continue to apply that to everyone who acquires a government position. Now, I want to caution people out there. Let's not make this thing look like it's about Sarah. We're against her. I know her from nowhere, and never met her before. I sit behind my desk and do all my work without knowing whether I know the person or not. Everybody you see out there, some of the people we are friends on Facebook, we do evaluate their credentials. We do not do it based on friendship or whoever. If there's anyone who's doing it that way, it is not to our knowledge within our group. We are independent minded, and we are all in it for Liberia. Mr. Jai, thank you. And thanks to the callers. Thanks for your recommendations. Thanks for your questions. It's a learning process for us. But the biggest picture is Liberians are part of this conversation, and we are glad you are part of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gulafale. Dr. Gulafale is a chemist, he's a scientist, and we had a show here, Chemistry and Society, and he was there. And Dr. Gulafale, please come back so that we can do that. He was a lecturer at Kennesaw State University, where my daughter goes. And currently, he works with me. I don't know if you want me to say that.
No, just keep it off here.
All right.
Please. If the day they want to verify, Liberian people will know. But
Anyway,
you can check my link in LinkedIn. I don't like to associate my professional thing with what we do here.
And thank you again. I want to thank our viewers for watching. Keep following Focus on Liberia. Tomorrow we're going to be at the Senate's chamber to bring you live the confirmation hearing of Foreign Minister Designate, Madam Sara Beysolow Nyanti. Until then, I close with a song that says, whether you believe Sarah's documents are legit or not legit, we are all Liberians. And let's us do whatever it takes to make our country the glorious land of liberty. Have a good night and God bless you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.